Sounds straight.
Welcome to South End Supporters, a St. Louis City SC podcast powered by Ready to Live Wellness, coming at you from the Warrior Logo Wear Studios. David Heck alongside the Monday morning center back, Dave Wyckoff and Eric Cole. Gents, the three of us back in the saddle again. It was a great weekend. Dave would call it a sweep end. He coined that phrase, by the way, after a City 2 win and a City win. What a weekend it was. And we're all smiles today. I love to see it. How are we this evening?
Happy game, happy sewed. That's how it works.
It's a happy sode.
I love it. Is this our first back-to-back of the three of us this season? Like, is that another reason to be happy? Have we done all three of us?
Well,
Are we really gonna call it back to back?
It's certainly been a while. It's hard to think it's back to back because we did 2 episodes last week. Unfortunately, we're not, Eric, what they call technically savvy, and we screwed up getting it uploaded. The second episode, which was a legendary South End Supporters episode, one for the ages, they would say, but it never made it to air. And so the rec has been posted on our Instagram for a technical intern, somebody that could come in and do the uploading and editing for us, because we are morons when it comes to that.
I still don't know where
the list just keeps going. No. It's like it's gonna have that lore though of one of those like lost videos, lost tapes, it's like, man, you guys will have only the three. Wasn't it like for a while, or was that the one that was finally bought? Like the Wu-Tang had an album that they just never were gonna put out or something like that.
Yeah, the Pharma bro bought it.
Was that the one that he bought?
Yeah, do you remember that Martin Shakiri or whatever his name was? That guy was such a tool, and he ends up buying it, never listened to it, but it didn't allow anyone else to listen to it either. And then he did some time, thankfully.
Martin Shkreli.
Oh, did he?
I think it's his
Shkreli, there you go.
I didn't know he did time. He deserved it.
he did.
Yeah, he did. He was involved in some
club fed time, I think. It wasn't real time.
Yeah, but he's out. I've seen him on some podcasts and that. I don't know. That guy sucks for a lot of reasons. But that's just an awful thing to do, to just purchase intellectual property and not release it to anyone just because you can. I didn't like that a lot. One thing I will say about this podcast is that even in today's economy, we are continuing to hire, looking for talent to come in and be a part to develop this thing. Marketing, of course, continues to be a weak spot. And technically, right, we need to make sure that we can get episodes out on time to the masses. And we dropped the ball last week for whatever reason. I don't know.
We did. And it didn't go unnoticed either. A couple people called us out on Saturday.
Oh, no.
And asked
I'm sure people were putting their fingers in your chest, and rightfully so.
They were holding us accountable, for sure. Yeah, all ages.
They should have. They should have. Well, we have held.
Even great Americans were holding us accountable.
Oh, boy. Sounds like Jeff Thornborough might have had something to say about this. Potentially the Mrs. South State supporter as well. I heard you met him, Dave. He called you the other Dave, which is good. Make sure that you put you in your place. That's nice. We can't have you getting too big of an ego on this podcast.
Yeah, that's fine. I would just quietly admire myself as I always have.
Quietly is a good way to describe this, Dave, because I feel like you're sitting 10 feet away from this microphone right now. I am having a hard time to hear you.
It's a flaccid length. It's right here.
Goodness.
Yeah,
there we go.
Okay.
You got to get a little bit closer to that. Put it right up against the mouth. Speaking of being held accountable, we have held
Cuban ropes to measure my mic distance with. Like
Eric and I were comparing chains prior to the episode starting. Eric, for my entire time knowing you, you haven't been a chain guy. I wear a chain all the time. I have it tucked underneath there. Eric shows up in a black T-shirt and a gold chain, which has become one of my trademarks over the years, Eric. And I'm like, this guy is stealing my style. But you know what? It looks great. I love it. It's the same company. It might be the same chain, maybe a little bit shorter on you than what I have. And mine is significantly more faded, but I am due for a new one, and you have inspired me, sir, to go out and purchase a new gold Cuban link chain.
I'm also realizing at this moment now, like, I should have had a backwards hat on. We just got back from Meet the Teacher Day at my daughter's school, but I am also at this point wearing cologne. So
Oh, yeah?
I mean, I'm full.
What fragrance are you wearing, Eric?
So I don't know because the bottle has worn off what the logo was. So I don't even know. It's just, but I'm full DH mode right now. So that can only mean this will be a good. So
It'll smell good.
I went into a fragrance store on the cruise we were on in July, and I was talking fragrances with the lady that works at the store. What I realized very quickly are that all of my fragrances pretty much are dupes or alternatives to the expensive version of the cologne. And so when she asked me what I wear or what I like to wear, I had virtually nothing to talk to her about because everything in there was very overpriced. But I've learned that they're pretty much one-to-one knockoffs, so I wear them.
I feel like the dupe smell can't be that different from the
No, they're
genuine
close.
smell, especially not
close.
worth like 100% markup. So, I mean, as long as you're okay, being, I guess less genuine in terms of your fragrance, then I think you'd probably be fine. Just continue.
Yeah, I think so. And I put it out here on the podcast. It's out there now. People know I'm a dupe guy when it comes to fragrances, and I'm not embarrassed to say it. I feel that's actually liberating to get it out there in the open. So it's nice. However, the chain is real. Eric, your chain is real. Jackson, not a sponsor of this program yet, but they make a fine chain, and perhaps
they could be if they again, marketing department. Get on that.
Official gold chain of South End supporters. City wins on Saturday night, and it's the 5th time it's happened all season. So we've talked a lot about losses this year. We've talked a lot about draws this year, but 5 W's now, and it came against a very good team out of the East in Nashville. I, for whatever reason, knew that they were playing Nashville. I was watching the game. I thought they were playing Vancouver the entire game. The uniform, the colors really threw me off. That one, I didn't understand it at all. I can't keep up with the way these soccer jerseys change every other year. But regardless, a 3-1 victory, it had to have been a pony show down there at Citypark, Energizer Park on Saturday night.
Yeah, we were even talking about that at the game. Like, I don't understand the whole. I know like there's some sort of like apparel sponsorship requirement that they want, but I just never understood the like if home jerseys don't clash, why you still like the MLS especially like over in England they're a little bit better like as far as like United will always like wear their red as long as it doesn't clash, same with Chelsea and blue, but like the MLS is very like adamant it seems like about their where you're away and your home whether they clash or not. And I almost kind of like the like you almost get attached to like a color representing your team. And so I think as long as you don't clash with the other team, where, Nashville is known for their bright yellow, like you should wear it. But yeah, other than that, it was a good night all around. Monday morning Setterback made his way down to 149, hung out down there and with our buddy Jake, which was great because I don't think Jake's been in those seats yet. So it was good having him
Jake
down
Hartwick?
there. The one and only.
He's a pitch club guy. I'm surprised he makes it out with the commoners at all.
Yeah. Apparently those pitch club tickets are getting a little more scarce thrown his way. So he may be more of a commoner coming here in the future.
They may be going away altogether from what he was saying. So I think he's actually going to be part of the new 3-person ticket group in 149 next year that we're slowly forming here. So it was a good time.
Dave, you I forgot I never got your answer on this because we did get caught up. So Dave, you went with so there's a new burger place right outside of 149. What is that place? Is it just Smash
City
Burger?
Grill.
Like what?
City Grill.
Oh, it's just City Grill.
Yeah. So I went with the Smash Burger. Recommended.
That used to be on the north end. Is it still there? Did they move it?
It's right behind 149.
I think I think they moved it to our end. Yeah.
Yeah, because they were doing smash burgers, and I think it was called City Grill on the north end for a little bit. South End Stand had one, said it was fantastic.
So I'm gonna step on South End Stand a little bit here. It was
Have at it. Go ahead.
Very average.
Oh,
Very average. And the burger that they handed me, the cheese hadn't even melted on the burger yet when they handed it to me.
Oh no.
So that kind of contributed to it. I mean, it was. Listen, I enjoyed it. I enjoy a burger, but I now have 3 points of reference for burgers in City Park. Olive and Oak is still far and away the best, but the City Grill Smash Burger is above the Farm Truck Burger, in my opinion. And if the cheese had actually been melted, it would have been significantly above the Farm Truck Burger. So, and while we're talking food, I have to issue a mea culpa because 2 weeks ago, I think, Eric, I can't remember when it was, we talked about the Soul Taco chicken burrito being gone, and I raged about that. The chicken burrito was back. I've come to the conclusion that I think that they sold out of the chicken burrito that day and made an in-game alteration to their digital menu. So this is my mea culpa to Soul Taco. I will be enjoying a chicken burrito again at a future date.
Yeah, even when you looked up that night, I think the first time you opened the app, you were like, "Nope, it's gone." And then I don't know if you refreshed the app or what, but then you're like, "Oh no, it's there," or you just didn't see it the first time. But
I came in so hot and jumped the gun.
Yeah, you were fired up that day. I was on that episode, and man, I think if anything, they might have listened to you, Dave, and just put it back on the menu.
Wide?
Well, I mean, listen, Dave, this is before your time. This predates your time on this podcast, but I am, I believe, single-handedly responsible for getting Farm Truck relocated out of the South End. So, yes, I do think the reach is there for sure.
Yes. I mean, that's very true. So let's just go with that. Let's assume that we're a lot more important than we are. It's really served us well to this point in life. Let's just go with that.
Well,
Let me ask you this. Is the food... I guess the food was more underwhelming than the performance of City on the field. Is that what you're saying?
Did you see how he did that? How professional that was? That was incredible.
That was
this is
years of professional broadcasting work down the drain as I do this hack podcast talking about a 14th place team in the West. But no, it's they played amazing. I don't know what happened. Where did it come from? This is a new squad, lots of new names over the last couple of weeks that have popped into this rotation. And it's been much more enjoyable to watch. It looked like Vintage City at times. When I say Vintage City, by the way, I mean like the first 5 games of their existence and how exciting and fun that was. That's what it reminded me of. Goal, goal, goal. And the way that they scored, the opportunities that they had, and not missing the chances and staying with the ball. It was a lot of fun to watch. I watched the entire game from the comfort of my living room. I haven't been to a game in a really long time. I've been to one game this year, by the way. I'd like to go to more, and this product got me excited again, and I hope that others feel the same way.
I hope you're not saying that you're a front runner. I hope that's not what
I'll tell you.
I'm not putting it out there. I'm just saying it excited me. That's all I'm saying. It was an exciting product.
It was exciting.
Yeah. Well, I think what really, to me, got people most excited was probably the most underrated signing of the season, and that was City's City Pet, Petey. Because I haven't seen people show up that early to a game since the beginning of the year. Like when they put out that there was some sort of pet plushie and then somebody posted on the socials what it was, like, boy, people came early to that game. And I think just the energy from the get-go on that, like, it just felt a little bit more hyped up this time from kickoff. Whereas in the past, it's kind of been a slow entry in. I think you've mentioned it a couple times from watching. Like felt like a lot more seats were empty, and while they still were, but it felt like everybody was present in their seat and ready come kickoff. Whereas, a little bit in the past. So I'm gonna chalk that all up to Petey there because
I love how I'm the non-soccer guy on this podcast, and I have teased the performance on the field twice during this segment, and both times Eric has transitioned to food and dogs. That's the direction that he has taken things.
Would you like
after
me to
me
talk about the product on the field?
Teeing things up. I would love to get into it just a little bit. I don't want to spend a lot of time on it because this is a soccer adjacent podcast, Dave, as we talk about other things that are more important.
It's whatever we want. But if you insist on talking about soccer, I guess we'll talk about soccer.
I just wish I could hear you better in the microphone. That's all I can.
The microphone is right below my mouth.
I think you might be. I think we have technical issues. I think I think it's not plugged in. I think you're going through the laptop. That's what I
100%
think.
plugged in.
Oh, it sounded better just now.
ahead of
whatever
you
you
no,
just
it
did.
sounds like he
Actually
just.
put it to my mouth. So
Yeah,
now
that's
now
what
we're
it
gonna have
was.
the popping. So here we go. So soccer team.
So much better. So much better.
Yeah. So absolutely. So health is a huge factor here, right? Because you've had the healthiest team that you've had since the beginning of the season when you include all the signings that still have managed to avoid hamstring injuries up to this point. The only two players you were missing that are your regulars are Durkin and Wallum. Durkin probably wouldn't have started anyway. Wallum probably would have got another shot at that right back spot had he not been suspended for yellow card accumulation. But that gave Jaziel Orozco the opportunity to play on his foot side, on his strong foot side, which Eric and I were talking about during the game. He looked way more comfortable playing on the right side than he did on the left side. Padelford looked great on the left. It was just a competent effort from everyone and a patient effort from everyone. And I'm going to get to Falou Fall here in a minute because his performance needs to be talked about on its own. But with the ball, it was interesting. You know, there was no Toitchert this game, and they actually essentially played a four-man midfield. If you want to consider Hartle kind of dropping back to the center and kind of playing a midfield too, but you had Tomas Ostrak, who started at the middle but then ended up on the right side a couple of times. It was just a very competent, very fluid, solid link up of performance and everybody getting involved with the ball. Like, you know, there wasn't really anybody, save for Morales, that made a couple of boneheaded decisions that I felt like when they had the ball at their feet was prone to making a mistake this game. So, I mean, you had some great goals. You had a great goal by Orozco from a ridiculous angle. You had probably the best team goal that they've scored all year from João Klaus. It was a five passes down the right side before Klaus buried it, and that goalkeeper got beat twice on the near side. Which
I was going to bring that up. I don't know how he got beat on Orozco's.
No
Klaus's
idea.
was bad enough, but Orozco's was crazy.
I think he may have been unsighted on Orozco's. Maybe
No,
a little
I think
bit.
he was. I think he was cheating.
You think he was cheating?
Anticipating a cross.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Either
And
way,
pulled a little off the post.
made him both times good shots. Would have good placement and power from both of them. The first half was outstanding. Could have been 3, could have been 4 in the first half. Just it gave you a reason to get up out of your seat.
Yeah, I think the word that you said there that really stood out to me was patience. Like in the past, like let's say 5 games or so, we've been harping on about the first 15 minutes and how they're so electric, and then they fall off at that point. I almost thought it was an opposite to where it was like a slow build up as the half went on. I would almost say the first 15 were a little bit more of the shaky periods, and then they just grew into that half. And now they still need to work on maybe closing out games a little bit better, but I just thought it was a slow rising performance as it went on, and it was just, to your point, patience. It wasn't like you're talking about that Klaus goal, like a 5-pass lead up. Like, we don't get those a lot, and so it was just nice seeing a little bit more. They're getting a little bit more comfortable on the ball. I still love that teams really want to just try and force us out of the back with these early kickoffs, just dump it in our corner and just, try and find something out of there. But I just thought it was a good patience, solid performance. The other thing I thought that was really good was I thought our defense did a really good job. Like early on, he had a couple runs, but outside of that, I think they really subdued Mukhtar very well, like throughout the game. I thought if they were going to give him any sort of shot, it was from distance, and they were really physical with him. We've been talking about lacking of physicality. I thought, to your point, Fall deserves a credit on that with a couple good sticks in there. I thought Bumgarner was physical. I thought both outside back. I just thought it was good, patient but physical performance, especially throughout that first half.
Henny Mukhtar scored on a PK. I want to talk about this PK a little bit because it still doesn't make any sense to me. I hate the stutter. Everybody knows I hate the stutter. I don't like when Hartle does the stutter. This was way more pronounced than anything that I have seen. It caused Berkey to come off of his line. It doesn't seem like it should be allowed. The color commentator, actually, and I can't remember her name, but on the broadcast, and I was listening to Joey Zanaboni and Dale Shilley, as I always do for the home games, but I went back and rewatched and then listened to the Apple broadcast, and she made a comment about how something along the lines, if you are good at taking PKs, you do not need to do a stutter step like this. And it was so pronounced, in fact, it raised the question as to whether or not it should even be allowed, at least the move that Hani Mukhtar did to score, well, to attempt the first PK that Berkey ultimately saved, and then they go back and look at it. Your thoughts on this, both of you? Is this something that really stretches the legality of the rules of the game, or is this something that's just fair game and the goalie just has to learn to deal with it? Because it seems almost impossible for a keeper to save this because all the advantage now is with the kicker.
It's the gray area, and it's the Bush League area. I'm trying to think of some other comparisons in sports, but it's like you have to be that person to go there. You know, it's not really sporting of you. It's kind of in the same realm as like the time wasting and stuff like that in soccer. I hate it. I wish that they would. I think the only way that you eliminate it is because you can't really say that you can only you have to take one fluid motion because that's kind of subjective. I think the only way you eliminate it, or at least try to mitigate it, is you put a clock on the PK of like 5 seconds, and that way you don't have time. You risk, you know, your time running out, and then your PK being considered disqualified, I guess. But yeah, I hate it. Eric knows my feelings on Hani Mukhtar now and how he only scores PKs. But that was a great. The problem is it was such a great save by Berkey. I mean, it was a good shot still too, even after the stutter step. Berkey made 2 good saves on that play. So for it to be overturned on replay, and not to mention the fact that his own teammates encroached at the same time, but if the goalie encroaches, it doesn't matter that they encroached. So it's a rule I'd like to see addressed, but they'll never do it.
Yeah, like you said, it's going to be so tough to police because to me that was really borderline of stopping all momentum. The rule of the law is you got to keep all momentum going, and I thought that one was real close to a complete stop as far as any momentum going forward. Curious to get your guys' thoughts. I think it's a wild shout. It would just open up a lot of stuff. But do you almost think with that, you brought it up with like that, if there's, I almost take this to like an American football standard, if there's almost like offsetting penalties, do you know what I'm saying? So Berkey came off the line first, but then his team was encroaching in the box first. Like, do you think that would ever be something that would possibly be like, well, you know, almost like a both fouls are negated, you know, ruling on the field is to say, like, I think I kind of
love it.
I think it would then be
it'd just be hard to then decide who encroached first sometimes, you know.
But sometimes too, then football they would just replay the down, right?
That's
like two offsetting penalties, and now you're just back to square one anyway. So I don't know. It's tough. I like the idea.
Soccer can't even get the handball rule right, and we want them to make a subjective ruling about stopping momentum on a PK.
No, I agree. I just was curious on what your honest thoughts, if that was, you know, sort of the case to where it was like, you know, there's 2 wrongs here, so it's just, you know, what happened from the outcome of that is goal kick or corner kick.
Let's just talk about how Hani Mukhtar got put in a box by Falou Fall all game, and the only way that he was actually creating chances was to take dives, and he got lucky that he got clattered into for that PK in general. I mean,
am I the only one, Dave? Did you feel this like rewatching the game? He looks bigger. He looked way bigger on TV than I was picking up. Like the second I turned it on TV, I was like, "Damn, he's way bigger than I thought." Like 6'4".
Oh, he's
like,
a monster.
But I don't remember thinking that, maybe because it was on the opposite side from us. But I just don't remember in the night thinking like, "Wow, he's got a lot of height on him." But like,
somebody on the social said he's the greatest center back in City history. Is that prisoner of the moment talk, or is that a legitimate claim?
I mean, he's certainly in contention after one game, and I mean, the only way his debut gets better is if he scores. I mean, he put the 2022 MVP in his pocket all game, and he truck sticked him a couple times. That was great when he put his shoulder through him. I watched that replay a dozen times. That is the most clinical example of how to stand an offensive player up and then challenge through their chest that I've seen in MLS. It was incredible. He didn't lose a head ball. He blocked several chances. his distribution, although sometimes a little bit nerve-wracking with some back heel. His first pass as a City player is a back heel in his own end, which, shout out for the flair. But yeah, he's a monster. He's a beast. 6'4", can jump, run, and pass, man. And that's, I think, my favorite part of him that game was just watching him track offensive players down. I mean, he's got such a long stride. It's like no effort, and he was catching everybody. So huge get. I mean, one game does not a career make, but early returns, man. He looks like he's got all the athletic ability to be a real force for this team, and he's a U22, so that's huge.
Yeah. I
mean, it goes back to what I was saying too, right? Is like, and I'll let you get to it, Eric. Sorry, but the fact that it's exciting to watch, the product is certainly shifted. It seems like over the last couple of weeks now, and this one looked about as good as it's looked all year, and it's with new talent. So, I mean, logically speaking, right? If you can keep this group together and continue to build on it, and these players get a little bit more experience under their belt, the younger players especially, the future certainly looks brighter, if not for the rest of this year, certainly looking into the 2026 season.
Yeah, I think to Dave's point earlier, having healthy bodies on the field is, it's what we've kind of really been trying to say all year is like, let's make those judgments and that type of stuff when you can actually see what the vision is with the players that you had hoped out there. What I really liked about Falu was like, while he's aggressive and he's strong on these tackles, I didn't really feel like there were too many like wild attempts that like as you don't want as a center back where it's like, oh man, that was risky. Like I felt like he was always pretty in control. Like even the time he stuck Muhtar, it was like, yeah, he stuck him in the step outside of the box and he made sure it was all ball. Like there weren't any like overly aggressive tackles where I was like, man, he's got to kind of calm down, which is impressive being so young. And they were kind of talking about that first MLS start, big jump up for him, a young kid. Like, but what I like that Critch seems to always kind of do is he seems to always have one sort of veteran presence to go along with a young center back. Whether it was with JGR, he would have Tom Baumgartel, or you imagine when Kess comes back, like there's going to be somebody in that partnership that's always going to have a little bit of a veteran calming kind of experience. Berkey can play that role as well, but I feel like if you're really looking for great teams that we watched over the years, there's always just a center back pairing that you're like, those two just go together. It was like Terry and Cavario. We had Ferdinand and Vidic, like players that you knew, you always related those two to their partner. It's been tough for us because of the amount of like injuries that we've gone through with center backs to really develop that. But if he can always just sort of have a veteran presence with that young sort of like helping him keep calm, especially it'll be interesting to see a real test is once you go on the road, how you can handle that kind of composure as a youngster. But like all those guys on that back, if anything, I think that's almost Baumgartel's role when he's out there. Yeah, he's a great defender and he's been playing well, but I think if anything, it's more to keep the composure and keep that back line in check and not get overly zealous being so young and all that type of stuff and reckless. And I felt that was really good on the defense throughout the night. I don't think there were any really extremely reckless tackles. I felt like they were all pretty clean, and I think they shut down the biggest threat that Nashville had coming forward. So I think if you can start from the back and work your way forward, goals will come, and they did.
3 of them to be exact, 3-1 win for City at Citypark, Energizer Park. I can't stop calling it City Park. I'll probably always call it Citypark. It's like a Riverport.
Before we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about Sang Bin's first goal, and it was absolutely earned. I actually had him to score as part of our weekly prediction for the charity challenge. But yeah, man, all the credit to Betcher for creating that chance and
stayed with it too. Betcher did an amazing job.
Yeah, I love how Betcher, at the beginning of this season, maybe one of our preview episodes, we were talking about how deep the team was or how deep we presumed them to be. One of the things that we cited was, depth creates competition and iron sharpens iron, right? And that kind of went away because you had so many injuries, so you were kind of forced to play combinations that you might not have played previously. Betcher and Klaus being one of them. It was always assumed that, Klaus was going to get the first crack at the 9, and Betcher would be that guy to play the last 20, 25 minutes. And he got to play that role. He got the 9 by himself, and he was a different player Saturday. He really was. It was good. He injected energy when they kind of had a letdown, in that 60th minute or so, and Nashville kind of trying to turn the tide a little bit, and then you get that third goal because Betcher wouldn't be denied and Sangbin was in the right place. It's so crazy how the dynamic has shifted with, even before Fallu, like just Sangbin and Padelford have changed the dynamic so much. And Padelford's, pace and willingness to go forward and the long throws, giving them a dynamic that they didn't have. I guess Nerwinski had a long throw, but it wasn't quite what Padelford's been able to do. And Sangbin being as direct as he is in attack. Eric and I were watching Nashville's left back in the first 10 or 15 minutes, and Sangbin dusted him twice down to the end line. And we were saying to ourselves that he's got this guy now. And they didn't go back to him enough in the first half. I think that was a mistake. But just like I said, long story short, the dynamic has changed incredibly. I think the number one thing that they've done, and we haven't seen it on the road yet, obviously with this group, Citypark's becoming a place to be feared at again. I think we've seen that for about the last, 4 home matches, that Citypark is a tough place to play again. So
yeah,
good on
to your point though, like you said with Betcher though, we're getting these guys with health back into their natural positions. Like instead of having Betcher was never going to be good out wide. Like that's just not his strength. And so getting him back up top and just trying to, he's physical. He wants that sort of contact, and that's what you want out of your 9. You want them to be able to handle that sort of contact, and he kind of thrives off that. The thing, Sangbin, like, man, there's no like ramp up to his pace. It's just shot out of a cannon the second he decides to go. The thing that I would kind of, and they kind of mentioned this on the broadcast where we were watching the game back, is like I'd almost rather him not go as much down the line as much coming back in towards the center of the park. I feel like you've talked about this many times a lot with like Teutsch when he gets open space and he gets running. Somebody's running at you that sort of pace. It is so tough to defend. And if you can just push them by line, like you feel in a better spot because you're like, all right, I can give up a foul out here, or I can just keep pushing him out wide. When they start coming in and they do have that sort of space, or like he was getting that step on that left back a couple times with the crossover, then you're into PK territory. You're into Leuven free kick territory. Like I would like to see Sangbin kind of almost coming back in towards the center rather than thinking about going end line if he's going to do that. Now, my question for you is, after watching this game, do you still put – because, like, the only thing I could almost see – and it's tough to go when you have a solid performance like that – is the only change I would maybe make to that lineup would be Celio starting for Sangbin, and then having Sangbin come in about the 65th minute and running at tired legs with that pace. Are you still Sangbin starting over Celio? Or do you think, I know Celio's kind of got to get back to form, but let's just say Celio's back in his form and playing the way that we've known to see Celio. Do you still like Celio coming off the bench more than you like Sangbin?
I mean, I'd love to see them both, one on the right, one on the left, but the fact is that Celio just has not been himself this year, and whether that's, lack of fitness or, from trying to come back from the injury or lack of confidence or whatever. But no, I think he still has to come off the bench. The only change I make to that starting lineup is Wallum over Ostrak. That's the only change I make. That was about as perfect of a lineup. And listen, I think Kessler is a better player than Timo, but I think Timo has played pretty well and looked pretty good next to Fallu. But I think that he's gonna have to. I think Kess is gonna have to outplay him in practice to get that spot back.
Yeah, I know Strzok looked pretty good too.
He does, but he
night,
brings.
Say,
He's so his progressive dribbling is exciting and it's great. And Eric and I talked about when he plays out wide, that was his. Correct me if I'm wrong, Eric, but when we talked about it, that was where he was initially supposed to be. Was out wide when they signed him.
So I think that's where he's.
So when he's out wide and he picks that ball up and he goes balls out, he can't hurt you as bad if he loses the ball out there. When he's playing in that midfield and he's playing at the top of that triangle, or if he rotates to the back of that triangle and he gets a little bit brave with that ball sometimes, and he's not the biggest guy, and he's kind of easy to knock off the ball, although he has played very well over the last month or so. I would just rather have somebody who you have a little bit more confidence at their feet in distribution. For me, Vollum is that he's also better defensively. He's also more versatile, so if somebody gets dinged up or whatever, you can just move him there. No, good problems to have. I hope that what this does to everybody is, okay, Cedric Toitchert, okay, Celio, now you guys have to work your way back into the lineup. And we're not just going to give you this time. You're going to get back in. You're going to earn it. When you come into games, you're going to make impacts. Because the fact of the matter is that Nashville in the second half controlled that game. I think it was something like, and these numbers are a little bit skewed because of the end when it was 3-0 and City had kind of just packed it in. Second half possession was 69% to 31%. And like I said, the last 15 or 20 minutes, including the 12 minutes of stoppage time, were all Nashville possession. So you're going to have to find a way to get back in gear with your subgroup, not just put guys in because you're giving people breaks and you're just in there to run the clock out.
City stays in what, 14th place, I guess, now, with 5 wins, 14 losses, 6 draws, 21 points. But they do pick up a big 3-1 victory over Nashville, who falls to 3rd place in the East. 14 wins, 5 draws, and 47 points overall. So a huge win at Citypark on Saturday night. They will travel up north to Chicago on August 16th. They'll play a 7:30 p.m. kickoff time there in Chicago against the Fire on August 16th. So this Saturday they'll be back on the road. It seems like they've been on the road a lot lately, but back at it once again, and they'll try to make it 2 in a row. So it'll be exciting against the foes from up north. Eric, I don't know if you've had a chance to work out yet with this gold chain yet. I know you and I were talking about it. Mine faded over time a little bit, so the book is still out, whether or not it can handle the sweat, if it can handle the sun. You work out just about as hard as anyone that I know. Have you had the opportunity yet to go through a workout with the chain on, and have you noticed any tarnishing yet?
No, not yet, but it's still very new. I think there's still just an adjustment period to wearing a chain and working out. Anytime something's bouncing, I'm just assuming like something flew on me. So I just have this like stop of being like, whoa, oh, it's my chain. It's all right. But I'll tell you one thing that doesn't fade, and that's your results when you go to Ready to Live Wellness. So now there's no better time, as they're offering a bunch of great packages to get yourself started, get yourself into the gym, because that's always the hardest part, is just getting started. So make sure you take advantage of a couple great opportunities they have right now. One opportunity they have is for $200. You get 4 personal training sessions with the certified coach, and you get 1 fire and ice session with breath and exposure, as well as 1 EVOLT body scan, 1 VO2 max test, and 1 consult with Efficient from Move. So great deal there. An even better deal for only $119. You get unlimited gym access for the month, and that's including open gym times, and you get to choose from 2 of their following. You can choose 1 fire and ice session. You could choose 1 injury screening with Laura from Rehab Loft. You can choose a Pilates class, which they've just really got kicked off and going with Casa de Pilates. Or you could have a 30-minute massage with Jasmine at Mindful Recovery. So a lot of great things going on at Ready to Live Wellness right now. So there's no better time to get started. Go check them out at Ready to Live Wellness.
That is our title sponsor, Ready to Live Wellness. Check them out at 1530 South Kings Highway Boulevard. Remember, if you are looking to get swole like Eric Cole, you've got to check out Ready to Live Wellness. Dave, we played our second-to-last softball game of the year on Friday night, and one thing I will say is that I leave it all on the field. I'm diving head first. I'm going in hard. The jersey has held up the entire time, all season long. We've got 1 game left, and I can't imagine that anything's going to fade there either. The lettering, the numbering, everything's perfectly pressed on, and the quality of the material is second to none, and you can only get that at Warrior Logo Wear.
Now, you say that the uniform has held up all season, and let me be clear that the uniform would hold up no matter the length of the season. This is not a dig at Warrior Logo Wear or their products at all. We love them on this program. How many games have you played in said uniform this season?
I've played a handful, Dave. I played a handful. 9 or 10 maybe, I
Have
think.
you really? Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
I feel like you missed a good chunk of the season in the middle. I feel like we were
I
talking
missed
about.
I missed
How
a
many
couple.
of those were double headers or
I
something like
missed a
that?
couple.
Multiple
We
game nights.
played a couple double headers. We played a couple of double headers.
That's
I
what
think
we're
I
racking
played
them
8 or 9 games
Okay.
this year.
I was
Yeah.
I was under the impression that the season was almost over and you had been in maybe like 4 or 5 games.
No. See, they need me out there, and like I said, I mean, a guy like me, I'm diving all over the place anyway. So anything I can do to keep the ball in the infield and leg out, a single, turn a single into a double, maybe a double into a triple.
Oh wow!
That's how I roll.
That? They call you a gray fox, silver fox, Victor Scott. It seems like
Yeah, that's exactly. I mean, there's a lot of comparisons you could draw between myself and Victor for sure.
so many.
Pat Pack, we're both hitting about 220 this year, so there you go.
But the point being that even if you had played in a 50-game season, that uniform would hold up because it comes from Warrior Logo, where at 12 East Main Street in Mascoutah, Illinois. They are there to meet all your individual and team sportswear needs like they do for DH's Friday Night Softball League. From T-shirts, hats, and hoodies to team uniforms and promo swag. I'm actually excited. I think I'm going to go out to Mascoutah. I'm gonna charter a plane maybe to get out to Mascoutah because I just landed Mid-America Airport because that's how far away it is these days. But
Probably
I think
be quicker to get there with 64 is a mess right now, so you might be
Give
better
myself
off taking
plenty of
something.
time. I'm going to go out and see them next week. I've been messaging back and forth with Chris. He had an operation in May, but he's doing better. So we're going to go meet up and we're going to talk. We're going to talk sports. We're going to talk soccer. We're going to talk team sportswear and all that good stuff. So look forward to that. But in the meantime, if you can't make it to the brick and mortar location, you can reach out to Warrior Logo Wear through all the socials and warriorlogowear.com. They're also on Instagram at Warrior Logo Wear, all lowercase. On Twitter, Warrior Logo Wear with a capital W, capital L, capital W. If you'd like to set up an online web store, they can help you customize that and handle everything from setup to shipping, including logo design, if you don't have a logo of your own. So check them out, Warrior Logo Wear, the official swag sponsor of the South End Supporters.
12 East Main Street in Mascoutah, Illinois, the home of me. And so I love them even more for that because they support this local community so well. Time to move on to the Elite News and Notes from the Back Post, brought to you by Elite FT at 101 The Game Drive in Glen Carbon, Illinois, inside of the Sports Academy. What do you two gentlemen have this evening for us? Teach me something.
Well, first I'll teach you about the premier youth sports training program in the Metro East since 2002, and that is the aforementioned Elite FT, with the mission of providing a safe, educational, and challenging and fun environment where coaches can instruct and challenge athletes of all ages, helping them become confident, disciplined, and elite. Elite FT is committed to your athletes' success from the moment they lace up their first pair of cleats. Bosco's Buddies programs forming all the time. Those are for the pre-K kids, the 2 and 3-year-olds, the one that both of Eric's kids have gone through, both of my kids have gone through. They also offer team training, speed and agility training. My son's getting ready to start an 8-week speed and agility on Tuesday nights. He's really pumped up about that. If you've got kids that are contact averse or don't really like the ball sports but like to work out because they're a little bit nuts, sign them up for those speed and agility trainings. It's basically CrossFit for kids. Really cool stuff, helps keep them in shape. And it's as if kids needed to be in shape, right? Most of them that just run everywhere and just are just nothing but muscle. Check out eliteft.com, EliteFT, all lowercase, on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, the sponsor of News and Notes from the Back Post. This week, we will start off with the team that just never seems to lose games anymore. That's City 2, who completed the sweep end, as DH mentioned earlier. They knocked off, it just disappeared. They knocked off Colorado Rapids 2 last night. Thank you, Eric. It was a 2-2 game. There's no extra time at this point in the MLS Next Pro season, so they went to penalties, and they won 5-4 in penalties. That is 12 unbeaten for them. They've taken 34 out of the last 36 available points. That is just wild. Now, there's a caveat to this. If you looked at their roster last night, it was a little bit
stacked.
It was a little bit senior. So
in the starting lineup, you had Conrad Wallum, you had Joey Zielinski, you had Chris Durkin, you had Jay Reed. And then on the bench, you had Makai Joyner, you had Henry Kessler, you had Caden Glover. I mean, they were loaded last night. They were loaded for Bears. So, but they still got it done and put on a good show by all accounts. So, 34 out of 36 points, sitting number one in the MLS West.
Comfortably number one.
Wasn't the record like 8 wins, 7 wins?
I think so.
And we broke it with 8. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
12 now.
12 unbeaten is pretty wild. So good for them. Moving on to City news. It was reported last week, I think after we recorded, but City bought out the contract of Joachim Nielsen, the oft-injured center back. He's really probably going to be the first what if in the history of City, I would say. Just somebody who, when he was on the pitch, his play was great. Good most of the time, great sometimes. Really strong defender, really good distribution, kind of what they've been trying to fill in terms of role since he hit the injured list perpetually, with bringing in Kessler and bringing in Timo and now bringing in Falou Fall. He was kind of the prototype for what they wanted, and unfortunately his knees and hamstrings just failed him. He had a really nice, heartfelt message to the fans and just apologized for not being able to stay on the pitch. And, I think we forget sometimes that these guys are men, not machines. And that guy wanted to be on the field. He just physically could not do it after all the surgeries, after all the rehab. So let's hope he lands on his feet somewhere and is healthy and is able to continue his career somewhere. Because I thought he repped the badge really well when he was out there.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say is you can never question when he was on the field, that dude's heart, he laid it out there all the time. He had many highlights. You think about the overhead kick he had in the one game. One that always stood out to me, I think it was against LAFC, but I think Bouanga was about to be on a break, and it was just him alone at center field at City Park, and he does a slide tackle. One where it's like a red card if you miss it, but a hero if you make it, and he did. So, yeah, it's just a bummer. It was, I think they almost hyped him up more than Leuven and Klaus when they were all coming around, and I think I saw something to where his pay was on par with Acosta and Evander. They really also showed out with the contract as well, with the high hopes that they had on him. So just unfortunate, but I think at the end of the day, this is something that is best for both parties involved, and especially for City. I think it was going to be something that happened at the end of the year anyway, but I think this is something that they wanted to get done during this window in case anything else comes around to open up that amount of fee.
Yep. Working to put to bed the sunken cost fallacy, David. That's what we've been dealing with Joachim Nielsen, the sunken cost fallacy over the last 18 months or so. So unfortunate, but it is what it is in sports. It opens up a roster spot, which is great. And there's plenty of center backs on this team, so will be hard to fill. Last bit that I've got, at least that are apparent in terms of the City world, is team of the match day. If you would have asked me who would have been the next City player to be in team of the match day, I think Jazzy Orozco probably would have been the last person I would have ever expected out of that entire team. That's pretty wild. And he earned it, man. He got a goal. He had a really strong game playing that right side. So good for him. He just continues to impress for a guy that just kind of came out of nowhere too, right? He was a very unheralded signing, and he got that first start. Was it on the road at Colorado, Eric? When he no, it was RSL.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah,
yeah,
has been great. Has had a couple of hiccups, a couple of bad PKs, but just super happy for him. And listen, they could have had several players. Falou Fall was the man of the match and didn't make team of the match day. He could have been on there easily, but they like to give it to the guys that get on the score sheet.
If a defender scores, I feel like they're gonna have a really good chance of getting into that.
But, Klaus had a good game and he scored too. That's Sangbin. Yeah. There were several players.
You need a brace. If you're a forward, you need a brace. It seems like
Edu Leuven had
fantastic game and only had
Yeah, I
the
would
one,
almost
only had
would've
the
gave
one
it to-
assist. You know what I mean? So there
That
could have
pass he
been.
laid off to Klaus for that goal was nice, though.
I do like though that like the fans at least I feel like it's tough. A lot of times when you get those man of the match votes from the fans, it almost seems like who scored the most that
Yeah.
night, or did Berkey play out of his mind? And it was just nice seeing like an unstatted appreciation of from the fans. And the other thing that I love about Yazi is like he's played 3 positions already for us. Like he's very what's the word? Versatile.
Yep.
Like, he's played right back, he's played left back, center back. Like I know throughout City 2, he played a lot of center back. Like that's something that I really value highly, is that sort of versatility. Like that was one thing that they really hyped up with Volum when we signed on him, was his versatility. And I think when it comes to defense and the struggles that we've been having throughout the year, or you're looking at rotation and all that type of stuff, super valuable. So
I
yeah,
even
well
saw
deserved.
some
And I was
speculation that
like you,
he-
I was like, I did not think that.
I even saw some speculation he could play the 6. Like that would be really interesting if they had to put him in that 6 spot in a pinch next to Leuven. But he's already proven his versatility. The more guys you have like that, the better your team is. I mean, if you had a team full of Orozcos and Wallums, I mean, you're going to be a pretty strong team. So last bit on Fallu before we move on. And sorry, David, didn't mean to cut you off. Just wanted to.
No, you're good.
You said a man of the match, unstatted man of the match, right? So relevant statistics. Foot Mob had him at a 7.5, which is a really strong game. Anything over 7 is considered really good. 8 is considered elite. 44 of 51 passing, which you have to take with a grain of salt because a lot of those passes are to defenders. But 2 of 4 accuracy was 50% on long balls, 2 out of 4, which is pretty strong. 3 touches in the opposition box, which I wouldn't have expected that. I guess those came off of corners. 3 for 3 on tackles. He had 1 block, 4 clearances, 3 headed clearances, 4 recoveries, 3 of 5 on ground duels. I mean, it was a really strong game, and that's just the actual tangibles. That's not running down Mukhtar with a slide tackle and then losing his feet and regaining the ball with a slide tackle. Just would have been well founded to put him in team of the match day also.
Mm-hmm. I was going to say, the only thing I was going to add to that, I think that if the original PK result stands, I think Berkey's probably in there too. He had a really nice day, a lot of good saves. Unfortunately, gave up the one goal, but saved it initially. So I think that he probably would have been in that spot to be in team of the match day, also with his performance. Eric, any news for you?
Just the only one that I have left, but we again kind of covered it a little bit. But he's a good old boy, so I think it deserves a couple shouts. Is that our city welcomed Petey as the first ever team pet. He's a 2-year-old English Labrador Retriever, trained and certified facility dog, and the first ever city team win came with Petey. Our first ever game win there. I think if I'm city, and especially when they've been having the results down and everything like that, and just the popularity that you already saw just from the socials and the atmosphere, I think you run with this and put PD on everything and try and get some sort of, just keep those good vibes going, because I think as angry as the socials or the fan base could ever be, you can't be mad at PD. So anytime it's bad, just throw PD up there sitting on whatever that plush soccer ball that he had. I think
Cat people probably aren't happy about it, but
yeah. See, there's always we talk about this. There's always somebody that's not gonna like something.
Were there any non-dogs? And this may be the wrong. You guys may be the wrong ones to ask this. Were there any non-dogs in the running for the team pet?
I believe
Jerry the giraffe threw his hat into the ring.
Now he is the mascot for this award-winning podcast. He's not in the running for the team pet.
But the thing is if he would have won team pet, he would have been exposed to the government, and we can't have that because he's not a pet. He's not a pet. He's our associate,
and he has a condition.
And he has a condition, and so and then like trying to walk him around City Park with that 14-foot frame. He's banging his head off those glow things all throughout the concourse. It would have been a tougher tougher sell.
Can I
think
rant
so.
about the concourse for a minute? And this has got to be
You absolutely can, Dave, because I did it for an entire year.
okay.
I did it for an entire year.
So let's revisit the rant.
Yeah.
Just because it's called the concourse doesn't mean that you have to congregate in chat circles. This is a public service.
So well
announcement.
said.
Some of us have to get from the south end to the north end for food purposes, for children's bathroom purposes,
You know what?
for any
You know what it
purpose
should be?
whatsoever. That concourse is really wide, super wide.
It should be.
Go ahead.
It should be congregation corners. That's where the most open space
like
is.
it.
You want to congregate, you go to the congregation corner, and there should be. Maybe we can start being like, trying to South End security, and we just start. Excuse me, you got to go congregate.
Just start
over
hurting
in that
people?
corner over there. Yeah, just start. Yeah,
Yeah.
like throwing our weight.
I mean,
around
it
a
would
little bit.
only improve the experience because, especially outside of. Let me just say on the east side because that's what I have the most experience with. Right. So second deck up on the east side, you've got all these great food places. You got Chicken Scratch and Soul Taco and all this stuff up there. You've got long lines. Right, you got long lines for food, and then like long lines for the bathrooms, and those lines stretch out in the concourse. There's nowhere else for them to go. But then you've got these people circles that kind of Venn diagram with. They create these Venn diagrams with these lines, and it's just impossible to get anywhere. And what you end up with these little tunnels where you have to like go single file and. People still don't understand that polite society dictates that you walk to the right of people and not to the left of people. And you've got kids that people can't see. And let's stop congregating in a speaking circle in the Jenkins. Stop being a Jenkins, okay? Don't be in the middle of the speaking circle.
Let me ask a question here. Do they pass on the left in Europe, Dave, or do they also walk on the right side of people there? And the reason why I ask is because this is a European sport, so maybe some people, right, just trying to integrate into that culture, say we're going to pass on the left.
But they're not Europeans for the most part.
They're not Europeans, but there's people. There's people that use a lot of.
Do you think
they use a lot of European soccer slang to describe the goings on the pitch? We'll just
Do you
say
think it's
that.
a hipster
So
thing that they refuse to pass on the right? Because
I think it could be. I need to check on that. If we can have somebody do a little digging, do they pass on the left in Europe? And I think that could be integrated into this American soccer culture.
I tell you what, it's terrifying to drive on the left. I don't know about.
I guarantee it is.
Passing. It is an absolute nightmare. That's a conversation for another day. But white knuckle across the entire country of Ireland. It was terrifying.
Yeah,
And they tried to give me a
imagine.
manual transmission at the airport too, and I said,
Oh,
no.
my God.
oh no,
Oh God,
I said,
left-hand
no.
shift
I
would
will
be
pay. I will
crazy.
pay whatever amount of money you want me to not have to shift with my left hand. That would have been a disaster.
We will.
Can you drive a stick?
Yeah, I learned on manual
Okay.
transmission, so it's easy, but not when you shift.
Not with your left hand,
right-
no way.
Pushing the clutch in with my right foot and shifting with my left hand. I couldn't do it. There's no way.
So is the gas still? Is the gas on your left foot then? Mm-hmm. Or is the pedals still set up the same?
Oh, you know what? Maybe it was the same. Maybe it was that way. I don't even remember. Eric, I was so focused on just not running into somebody head on the wrong side of the road. I don't even remember.
the clutch. The actual shifter though would have to be on the left, right?
The shifter was on the left. So
That's awful.
I wouldn't
awful.
have known, Eric, because I didn't have a car with a clutch. So maybe the clutch is on the right in European cars. I don't know. Maybe you do.
Oh
Yeah.
man,
Yeah. No, thank you.
Yeah, I don't want anything to do with that. Well, we are going to talk a lot more about. I want to hear more about that on this next episode. We'll deep tease because I want to know more about are people walking on the left because it's a hipster thing to do.
We've got several things to deep tease, including maybe some more content from a couple of members of this podcast.
Ooh, I can't wait to find out about it. Eric, where can people follow us at?
keep following us on all our socials, or not keep following, start following us on all our socials.
But if you are
We need to get
following,
these numbers
keep
up, guys. Yeah, but keep following. Yeah, on Instagram we're South End Supporters. Our Twitter and our Reddit is capital SES _podcast STL. Make sure you're following us on our Facebook page as well as checking out our YouTube to keep up with all things South End supporters.
I want to say thanks, as always, to all of our sponsors, especially our title sponsor, Ready to Live Wellness. Check them out at 1530 South Kings Highway Boulevard. Remember, if you are looking to get swole like Eric Cole, you got to go to Ready to Live Wellness. Also, Warrior Logo Wear, the official swag sponsor and studio sponsor of this fine program at 12 East Main Street in Muscuda, Illinois. They outfit my slow pitch softball team every Friday night, as they do for many, many area teams. They make the best quality uniforms around. Warrior Logo Wear in Muscuda, Illinois. We will have plenty of kolache talk coming up on this next episode, brother. I miss the kolache talk. STL Kolache has the best in the business at 1530 South Kirkwood Road in Sunset Hills. And then, of course, Felix's Pizza Pub, who will bring you the South End Submission at 6401 Clayton Avenue in Dogtown. They bring you South End submissions every single Thursday, and we will have plenty of submissions, maybe do a little double duty since the episode did not air last week. So we'll be sure to talk plenty of pizza that you can get at Felix's Pizza Pub and Elite FT and 101 The Game Drive in Glen Carbon, Illinois. Inside of the Sports Academy brings you elite news and notes from the back post every single Tuesday on this fine program. For Eric Cole, for the Monday Morning Center back Dave Wyckoff, my name is David Heck. You've been listening to South End Supporters. We'll see you next week, and until then, let's go City.